All right, welcome everyone to this Q&A. Again, want to welcome everyone to this Q&A. Guess I'm making an observation. We'll see where this goes. It sort of came up a little bit yesterday in my group coaching class, and that is, where do we get information from? See, there's an issue. There's an issue in general. People are going to think, oh, I listen to this rabbi, that rabbi, they're all kosher. No, right? There are people that are out there that are fraudsters, that are heretics. Got to be careful where you get information from. But even if a person, listens to the news, listens to mainstream, we'll call mainstream, lack of a better term, right? Mainstream media. So imagine just by, by the war and what's going on, and what happened after October 7th, and everything else that. The Arabs probably the biggest propaganda machine that exists in the history of man. Right? They're liars. They're born liars. That's what they are. So there's been a lie. It's been perpetuated, forever. And the media sucks up the lie. Right? In the top 5, I would say, biggest lies in the world, the idea of a Palestinian people is in top 3. I would put it in the top 3, right? The first one or second one may be Christianity, and one of them is going to be evolution, right? So it's a propaganda machine. You got on the stage, you got Qatar giving billions of dollars. We're not going to, make this political, right? And putting, their own people and professors, who knows what, in universities. That's why I get anti-Semitism on universities. Strong anti-Semitism. I'm not even talking weak here. Very, very strong anti-Semitism. So, the media in general, they have their things they want to give over, right? That they want to perpetuate. And they don't care if it's true or not. They may think, according to themselves, it's true. And what they're saying is true. So I once, taught a number of people at Hebrew University, students, Hebrew University students, I taught them how to read a newspaper. Because they wasn't hard to read a newspaper, you understand the language. So I taught them this, when they talked about this issue or other issues when it came to religious things, whatever it may be. And I showed them what the facts are. Line by line. It was pretty easy. Right? It wasn't really that, it wasn't really that complex. But at the same time, I wanted to make them aware that, there are a lot of lies. 100%. 100%. There are a lot of lies out there. And lies sell. Right? I don't think there's any question. So the question came up. That's the only reason I'm just mentioning now. Right? So the whole thing came up about the fact that, someone was telling me yesterday, Israel's got a media issue. They have an issue how they give themselves over, so to speak. Right? They have an image issue. Okay. But it's kind of ironic, after October 7th. So the leftists gave Israel a free pass. Seemingly gave him a free pass. After what happened? How long did the free pass last? Before they started critiquing them and calling genocide and all that? A week. Gave him a week. It's kind of ironic. I mean, you have a country that's totally racist country, right, for years and years, right, and quote unquote, right, in South Africa, and apartheid they'll claim and all that. Yeah, puts Israel on trial for what? For atrocities, genocide, right? Huge lie. So we have a couple choices. One choice is you don't listen to the media at all. No media, not even Jewish media. Because many will claim even Jewish media is Lashon Hara, other things, right? even within so-called, Orthodox websites, let's say. Yeah. The question is where you get information from. Either you don't look at anything. Yeah, that's one way. Or just you don't read any websites on the news. Doesn't matter who it is. Right, a friend of mine would say, there's a war, I'll find out about it. I need this person's spin, that person's spin. Like, who are these people, so-called experts? What do they know? What do they really know? About anything. Not even talking about, what's going on or whatever they're reporting. Not even talking about that. Yeah. So that's one option. One option is you don't listen to anything. When I say anything, I mean anything. Nobody. Now you gonna know what's really going on. What does it matter? Yeah, does it really matter? When everything came out October 7th, what do a lot of people say, myself included? They're going to be atrocities being shown. It's going to affect people for life. These images and what a person sees. See, the idea is when a person sees something, their soul records it. It never disappears. Yeah, some people have images, things they saw 10 years ago, 15 years ago. They might be buried deep inside, but they're there. People say horror movies they saw, how it affected them when they were kids. They affect the soul. The soul records. Right? Just like we're recording, soul records. It has an effect. Many people said, wish I never saw this or saw that or saw the other thing. The image is there. Even if it's all make-believe. And this person got killed. I can't believe they killed him. And how they killed him. What do you mean? He's not dead. It's all part of the story. It's all part of the make-believe. It's all part of the fantasy. No, you don't understand. This person's such a good guy and this and that. It's probably, he's probably out somewhere, getting a beer with somebody, who knows what. He's not dead. People get caught up in the story. People get caught up in fantasy. So these things don't really matter. They don't matter. Person give their spin, that spin. But we want to be informed. We want to know. Want to know what's out there. Can't stick your head in the sand. But the bottom line is, what? Does it help me? Does it benefit me? Is it something where we always have to ask? A lot of people don't like to ask this question, but they always have to ask. The question is this beneficial to me? Or is it not beneficial? Is it making me closer to God or it's not? Because if it's not, then stay away from it. That's what you got to do. But see, we have the Yetzer Hara. We have an evil inclination. I want to know what's going on in the world. Well, this person said, the other person said, who gave their spin on it? At the end of the day, who cares? Doesn't really matter. Maybe they're right, maybe they're not right. Does it make me a better person? Does it make me someone who's closer to God or not? Yes or no? If it doesn't, it's a waste of time. Hey, tell me, for women, it wouldn't be a waste of time. They don't have to have an obligation to learn like a guy does. Okay. Because that ain't good for them. Got to be focused. Right? The Ramchal says, we mentioned many times, this world's a world of distraction. Total distraction. We get caught up in it. It's easy to get caught up in it. And a lot of people coming out of Christianity or whatever idolatry they're coming out of, what's one of the first things they want to do? They want to prove the Christians wrong. They want to prove them wrong, show them sources, this, that. And guess what? A lot of people don't care. They don't want to know. They'd rather be ignorant. What do you mean? The church lied to me for, 50 years, 40 years. And someone told me this. Right? That the father said, what, do you think I've been lied to 50 years? Yeah. Been lied to. 100% you've been lied to. So now they want to correct the wrong. Now they want to take the information that they know and use it against them. Okay, there's a place for it. 100%. I'm not going to say it's not a place for it. There's a place for it. How much time should a person spend doing it? I wouldn't think too much. I think there's a lot more knowledge to gain than a person, fighting with all these people. I haven't seen it in a while. It probably hasn't changed, right? That I see somebody that, this person fights against everyone. Fights against everyone. Anyone blasphemes against God's going to answer them. God can answer for himself. You don't have to answer for them. It's desecration of God's name. You want to be a Jew, or a Jew want to be, or to keep the Noahide laws? Learn what it means. Delve into it as much as you can. And then when you get free time, quote unquote, then you do that. Now, again, I can understand. I can definitely understand why a person would want to do that. And show people information. Okay. There's one to be said for that. True. It's also therapeutic because it helps them get over what they went through and they can help others. True. Right? If it is true. Yeah. But what does it do though? There's so many things a person needs to learn. So you want to spend 10 minutes a day doing it, 15 minutes a day doing it. You only have a certain amount of free time. Yeah, if you're not working or whatever. So you have a certain amount of free time. Okay. So what are you going to use it for? You got to think. I have a certain amount of free time. Yeah. So meaning a certain amount of time you're going to learn. Let's say it's an hour a day, half an hour a day, 2 hours a day, whatever it is. Where are you going to focus? You're going to focus a lot of time on that? If you tell me a person's a world-class rabbinic scholar and they're doing other things, one thing. Yeah. But where's the focus? I think a lot of people miss the focus. Definitely miss the focus. Now, I would agree. Doing something like that a certain amount of time, feels therapeutic. Because they want to help other people not to make the mistakes they made. Very good. But that's not the essence of what a person should be doing. If a person wants to go into being a kind of missionary, good. They have all that knowledge. Very good. Yeah. If they're going to convert, you're going to get the knowledge. You get that knowledge really first. The other stuff you can do, you have that knowledge, not going anywhere. I know a girl was a Christian, they know. They know what their book says. They want to be a world expert, know it by heart, this and that. Whatever, but I'm saying, they know the material. They don't have to think about it too much. But how much do they really know about Torah? Not very much. So why focus on something that's not necessarily going to get you anywhere, in Torah knowledge, than doing that. I want to spend a certain amount of time on it, I can understand. Short amount of time, I get it. More than that, I would say 100% a waste of time. It's a waste of time. Somebody here asks, can you guide how to mourn for Noahide? Simple thing for mourning, I would say, is, is there a mourner's prayer for Noahides? That I would say no. That I would definitely say no. Can a person, light a candle every day or have a candle lit for 7 days for them, for the person that they're obligated to mourn for? Mother, father, sister, brother, child, right? God forbid, or a spouse. That's who Jews have to mourn for. Right? A person's grandfather died, grandmother died, you're not in mourning. That's not mourning by a non-Jew. So they want to say Tehillim, they want to say Psalms for that person, very good. They want to learn for that person, very good. Whatever they learn, they have in mind for their soul, that should help their soul. Right? Very good. More than that, what can they do? There are no mourning customs. Yeah. There's a good question whether a Noahide is allowed to be cremated. Because you're going to say everyone's born in the image of God. And the Torah says, after man had sinned, that mankind's going to die. There's a death penalty decree. Everybody's going to die, Jew or non-Jew. Right? So the Torah says, just like you came from the dust, you go back to the dust. Right? So that everyone will say that's for a Jew. Very good. Right? That's for a Jew. That apply to a non-Jew. Right? That's the question. So the question is that by non-Jews, are they allowed to get cremated? Right? Now, as my Rabbi this question once, that, it makes sense why more people would want to be cremated. It's cheaper. Right? It's cheaper. Rabbi said, everyone wants to be buried, though. Why don't more people get cremated? I don't know what the stats are. But he said, why do people want to be buried? People want to be buried for one very simple reason. Have remembrance in this world. That's why they want to be buried. Right? That's why they want to be buried. Now, the question is, what about an non-Jew? If you want to tell me that original command, you're going to go to the dust, you came from the dust, you're going to go to the dust, that was given all mankind. If it was given all mankind, the non-Jews can't get cremated. Yeah. But let's say a non-Jew wanted to be cremated. Not against their will. They want to be cremated. They don't transgress a Noahide law. Yeah. But probably the moral impediment is better they don't. Nonetheless, others would say it's not a Torah obligation by non-Jews. Right? Maybe a moral obligation, but they're not a Torah obligation. Right now, why would that be? Why would we say it's not good for a Noahide to be cremated? We got a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. Ethics of Our Fathers, chapter 3, Mishnah 14. What did Rabbi Akiva used to say? Beloved is man. He was created in the image of God. It's an even greater love that it was made known to him. He was created in the image of God, as it states, Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. For in the image of God, he made man. Right? Now, who's that talking about? All mankind. Jews and non-Jews. So a human body, right? A human body should be treated with respect, even by death. So therefore, it's a good thing for non-Jews to be buried, because it's a proper way to treat the body. Right? It's showing respect for the body. Nonetheless, what would we say? Obligation? No. Certainly not a Torah obligation. Right? But it's a moral thing. It's a moral idea. Respect for the body. Right? Why? Very simple. Non-Jews have to also respect the body. Non-Jews should also have to respect the body. Again, is that going to be an obligation? No. Not going to be an obligation for a Jew. It's a pretty severe prohibition. Very, very severe prohibition. If it was done against their will, that's a different issue. Right? That is a different issue. If they do it willingly, that's a problem. That 100% is a problem. Because the Torah states clear. You got to go in the ground. Can't be in a mausoleum. Right? Even they don't get cremated. Let's say someone's put in this mausoleum. What's the problem with the mausoleum? You're not in the ground. You're going to be in the ground. That's not in the ground. Right? That's a different issue. Yeah. Why is that a different issue? It's a different issue, very simple, because that's how you get atonement. You don't get full atonement, obviously. A person's probably going to suffer in the next world also. But, it is somewhat atonement that a person dies. Very good. So that helps. But you gotta be in the ground. You don't get judged unless you're in the ground. I remember I was at a funeral once. There's a great rabbi there, and the body was in the hearse, and it was going, and like this person kept screaming at the driver, just go, go, go. Don't wait, just go. Make sure the person gets buried straight away. Why? Because every second it's not in the ground, feels pain. Because soul doesn't know where to go. A lot of confusion. Right? So every second it's not in the ground, soul feels a lot of pain. Whatever that means. Feels a lot of pain. Remember you talking about getting cremated. It's disrespect to the body. Disrespect to the body. Now, some people say, body's not going to feel it anyway. It doesn't really matter. So, yeah, it's not true. Person may be dead, soul feels it. Yeah. But it's disrespect. That's not even the point. It's disrespect. It's disrespect to the soul. Right? That's no question. Now, the only question is, what about a non-Jew? Then we're going to say non-Jews created in the image of man. Should also be forbidden. Right? I can hear that side. Can also be forbidden. But that's not the case. Morally, it's probably, as I would say, a moral imperative. It's a moral imperative they shouldn't do it. Okay. Obligation, no. Obligation, no. Yeah. So someone who asks, okay, Adam was made in God's image. So does God look human? No. God has no image. So what does it mean, God's image? Spiritual terms. We can't describe God in humanistic terms. Impossible to describe God in humanistic terms. Even though the Torah many times talks about God's arm. Right? God's outstretched arm. God's anger. God's other things. It's an anthropomorphism, which means it's giving us a way to relate to God. Do we really think God's got a big arm? Do we really think it says, God, this was... This sacrifice was a pleasant aroma to God. Think God's got a big schnoz? He's got a big nose? Like, it's like, oh, what a beautiful scent. God doesn't have a nose. Right? It's anthropomorphic. It's a way for us to understand. Rashi says on the spot, first time in the book of Leviticus, it says this was a pleasing aroma to God. What does it mean? Rashi over there says, very simple. It means God gave a command to bring the sacrifices, whatever they were. So Rashi answers the reason it says that it was a nice smelling fragrance. What does it mean? It means that man did God's will. Man did exactly what God said to do. And that's why he uses this language. It's very pleasing to him that man did what God said. We really think God's got a nose? God's got no image. Yeah. So it has to be talking in spiritual terms, right? We're the only beings in the world that have the ability to make decisions. God breathed in the spirit of life. The man, the Aramaic translation says, gave the ruach mamalelo, the ability to speak. Mamalel means to speak. Animals also speak. We don't understand what animals say, right? We don't understand what they say, right? And I'm not, if I'd be Dr. Doodle, I could understand what the animals say. Very good. But I'm not. So we don't understand what animals say. Doesn't mean they don't speak. They have their own language. Okay. Whatever it is. The animals make decisions. No. Animals are programmed DNA. Good animals decide they want to eat. They don't want to eat this and that. Okay. Yeah, but at the end of the day, they're programmed DNA. Mankind has the ability to speak, but doesn't just mean to speak. The ability to speak, the Aramaic translation means to reason and make decisions. Man makes decisions. We can make good decisions, bad decisions. We can go according to our evil inclination or not go according to our evil inclination. We have a choice. We have to have a choice. But God breathed in the soul. Soul was spiritual, even though it's in the body, gets trapped in the body. Right? So the soul is spiritual. The soul in general, right, does God's will, whatever God tells it to do. Got no free will. Goes in the body, it's a different issue because the body traps it and we have free will. The soul doesn't control the body doesn't control the soul. There's always a fight. If the soul goes out of the body dies. You need the soul in the body. Okay. But the only time the Ramchal says in Derech Hashem, in the way of God, the Ramchal says the only time the soul can flourish is when it's in the spiritual world. When it can shine and look as I don't know, as bright as it could, that's a different issue in that world. It's only in that world. In this world, the soul's always fighting the body. Body wants the body wants to go after desires, whatever it desires. Yeah. So when the person does the wrong thing, it debases the body, debases the soul. When the soul, when the person goes towards spirituality in the right way, so you uplift the soul, you elevate the soul, you elevate the body. Right? The body can't function without the soul. That's true. Yeah. But the only reason a person would be inclined at all, any person in the world would be inclined, Jew or non-Jew, be inclined to spirituality is because they have that spiritual soul. Everybody's got a spiritual soul except an animal. An animal only has one aspect, right? That's the nefesh behemoth, right? That's the animalistic soul. Right? They also got a soul, but doesn't have the other aspects that a Jew has. Right? Or a non-Jew for that matter. So basically the soul itself, what do I have? It gives a person life. Now the soul wants to go after spirituality. Now, because that's how it's programmed. Now, is God spiritual? God's also not. How do we describe God in general? It's a very hard question here. Very hard question. Right at the beginning of Duties of the Heart, anyone goes to knowidenations.com. So I've been working my way through, for a few months, going through the book Duties of the Heart, but from the very beginning. From the very beginning of the gate of God's unity. And whatever, basically, a lot of proofs for God's existence, why there's only one God. And now we just started going through God's character traits. It's hard to so the Chosel Vavos there says it's hard to say what God's character traits are. Because we can only describe it in ways that we understand. Right? God is infinite. How are you going to describe someone who's infinite? A being that's infinite. Is he spiritual? Is he physical? Can't be physical. Right? And he must have come first, and that's a whole other discussion. He came first, everything came afterwards. Everything is finite. What came from him, but he is not finite. He was there at the beginning, he'll be there at the end, right? Without even going into all these rational proofs. But what's the idea? The idea is he's not physical or spiritual. Now, why do we say in general, right? Why do we say in general that God is spiritual? Because we have no other word to describe it. We have no other word for ourselves in any language. In any language, the Chosel says, to describe who he is. What his character traits are. We describe him according to what we understand. But plenty of things we don't understand. Right? So we describe him in ways that we can fathom. Right? Why? Why does the Torah set it up like that? Why did God speak to Moses like that? And Moses wrote it down like that? Because otherwise, if we didn't have a connection, if we had no connection whatsoever to be able to relate to God, we'd never serve him. You got to have a connection. Where's the connection? If we say he's all infinite, he's all this, he's all that, we have no connection. He represents the entire world. He can run through a black hole. He's everywhere all at once, however that works. God doesn't go to sleep. He doesn't blink an eyelash. If he did, world goes back to Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, back to that chaos. Right? Just like the back of that Led Zeppelin album. Anyone knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, chaos. So that the Torah uses anthropomorphism uses words for us to understand something of who he is, yeah, and we put it in man-like words, because otherwise we'd have no connection. And if you don't do that, right, says the Chovos HaLevavos, if we wouldn't do that, guess what? You would never serve him, because you have no connection. You have zero connection. So God's image doesn't mean he's human. God's image doesn't mean he's spiritual. We would describe him. We would describe him as being spiritual because we have no other term to describe him. There's no other term. There's no other term to describe him. So what are we supposed to say? So we'll say he's spiritual. Now, what does spiritual mean? Doing all good. Doing all these good things, right? Which is a problem for some people, because if you're going to say God is all good, what's the obvious question? Why is there evil? God created evil, right? If you look at Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7, very clear God created evil. Yeah. Look at a proper translation, not King James. You'll see a proper translation says God created evil. Yeah. You go to King James, it's a total mistranslation. One of the many mistranslation. Because they got a problem with evil. They absolutely have a problem with evil. Why do they have a problem with evil? Because where does all evil come from? Mr. S, right? The Satan, the evil inclination, the angel of death, whatever you want to call him. Yeah? Right? So they have an issue. They have an issue. They can't say God created evil. Right? They're going to blame evil on who? Right? On Mr. S. They'll blame everything on him. Yeah. Now, people will say, but if God created evil, guess what? He is evil. No. Why did God create evil? So again, the Ramchal Derech Hashem says clear. He created evil for one very simple reason. To give man free will. To give man free choice. They got free choice to do what they want. Right? They got free choice to do whatever they want, good or bad. You make the right decision, bad decision. Okay. They want to make the wrong decision. They can't. Does God want them to make the wrong decision? No. Does he want all these, all these Indian worship cows? No. He doesn't want it. They choose to do it. Okay. Could they get right information? Yes. Does God want everyone to be a Christian? No. They want to be Hindus? No. Why do people choose it? They choose it for whatever reason. Oh, they're born into it, whatever you tell me. Yeah. They can get out of it. Doesn't make sense. Many things don't make sense. Right? So the idea is that what? That there's a lot going on here. We are describing God in ways that we can fathom. Chovos HaLevavos says, we just mentioned, right? This needs to be repeated. That if we didn't have a connection to who God was, we didn't have some sort of image, what we're thinking, not just his, he's this old man with a white beard with a cane sitting on the throne. Yeah? That he runs the world, that he's in charge and all that, but we don't fathom. If we don't fathom he's got an image and whatever, how are we going to serve him? That's his question. That's exactly what the Chovos HaLevavos says. He says if you even if you anthropomorphize, right? You give God quote unquote human character traits. He's got this outstretched arm. Yeah. Yeah, it's a way for us to understand God has a lot of power. God has a lot of might. Because we have to put it in our mind how we can imagine who he is and what he does. So based on that, if I didn't do that, what would happen? Very simple. You never serve him. You have no connection. He's so far away. He's so all this other stuff. You never serve him. So we have to put in our mind something that we can understand. We can fathom. Otherwise, you ever going to serve him, right? Mentioned this last week. Or I think it was this week. I gave it over on Sunday. That's exactly what he says. He says you wouldn't have a connection. You wouldn't have a connection, never serve him. Wouldn't make any sense to serve. So good, you got to work on that also. But I'm saying that's way the language is what it is. So then the question is, okay, God descended on Mount Sinai. It's a good question what that means. What that means? How can it be in one place? It can be everywhere. True? I'll ask a different question. Right? A similar thing though. Exodus chapter 25, verse 8. This is what someone asked me on Tuesday, which I didn't go into. I'm not going to go into it now either. And Exodus chapter 25, verse 8, what does it say? It says God wants to dwell amongst the Jewish people. And that was the command to build the tabernacle, the Mishkan. Very good. One problem. One problem. As big as the Mishkan may be, with all the bars and the loops and the clasps and all that, how are you going to put God in a box? God's infinite. How do you put an infinite being in a box? Then someone asks what this idea of Tzimtzum. So Kabbalistically, there's this whole discussion about God constricting himself, coming down the spiritual world to come to this world. How does that work? Right? Go ask a Kabbalist. Right? How does that work? That shouldn't work. Doesn't make sense logically. Logically, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. Right? So the question is, was that God's entire being? Can't be. It cannot be. Yeah. Same thing that Jewish people led in the desert with the clouds. When the cloud came, they had to move. Cloud stopped, they stopped. Very good. Is that entirely God also? No. Why not? God's infinite. God put himself in a cloud. God's the entire cloud. God's infinite. Right? Right? So, so someone asked me, this question comes up. This question comes up every so often. If God put a spark of him, he made man in his own image. He put a spark of himself in every person. Right? So we'll make it even more difficult. If God is infinite, how's he putting a spark of himself in everybody? These are difficult questions. Right? But it's clear that even if he hovered over Mount Sinai in a cloud, it wasn't his entire being. Because then if you say it's in his entire being, you're limiting him. God's not limited. He's not limited by space or time. We're limited by time. Not necessarily by space. We're limited by time. Yeah, God's not limited in either way. If you say God is limited in any way, it goes against the first and 13 principles of faith of the Rambam. Of Maimonides, that God is absolute. It means he doesn't change. He doesn't change. Ever. He's who he is. Was, will be, and in the future. Right? Or is, was, will be. Let's say better. Yeah. So, in that sense, he's everywhere at the same time. If he's everywhere at the same time, how does he put a spark of himself in everybody? Good question. Good question. Yeah. Right? What's the answer? It's Kabbalah. Kabbalah is going to explain it. Yeah. Well, that's what I would say. Someone there asked, 1 second. We should remember more bad things than good things. Someone said they're put under anesthesia and deleted many things out of my mind. Yeah, why does bad things? That's a good question also. Oh, good question. Why do we remember a lot of times bad things more than good things? Or a lot of time we remember bad things. Yeah. So the Torah says, when the Torah is speaking about impurity, tumah, right? What we call, what we translate as impurity. Tumah itself, the Torah says, attaches itself to the soul, attaches itself to a person if they do the wrong thing. What's the language the Torah uses? The word davak. Daled Beis Kuf. What does the word davak mean? To cling to attach, to. The modern word devek in modern Hebrew today means glue. Further go in the story and say, "Ani wrote said devek. I need glue." Yeah. Why does the Torah use that language? One answer, one possible answer. Because impurity sticks to the soul. Doesn't disappear. You got to work hard to make it disappear. So therefore, bad images, bad thoughts, whatever, are there. They're there. They don't disappear. It sticks to you, right? So a student, the Baal Tanya, wanted to go to university. The Baal Tanya said, you got to be very careful. There's heresy there, other things there. So the student of the Baal Tanya said, listen, I've been learning by you for many years. I didn't become so righteous. So if I learn in university, I'm not going to be so bad either. I won't learn from either side. Comes on the Baal Tanya says, you're making a big mistake. You're making a big mistake. Holiness, you want to attach yourself, you got to work very hard. You got to work very hard to be righteous. Impurity, you can be impure just by touch. Person on the Torah level came in contact with a dead animal. Yeah? Touch the dead animal, you're impure. By touch, by dead body's worse. Person in the house, all the windows are closed, right? And there's a dead body there, you become impure also, even without touch. That's the highest level of impurity. Any case, right? A lot of it doesn't apply to anyway because we're all impure. We can't fix ourselves anyway. Fix ourselves up spiritually, even if we sat in a mikveh for a month, it's not going to help. At least for that. Without getting into all that, okay. But impurity, how can a person become impure in this world? A person can be impure by touch. So comes along the Baal Tanya says, oh, you want purity? That you got to work for. That you got to work very hard for. Impurity, all you have to do is touch it. Once you touch it, you're impure. Right? So the impurity, the negative things that we do or think, become part of our soul just by touch or by thought. Right? Once it's part of our psyche, it's very hard to get rid of. Very, very hard to get rid of. Yeah, let's say a person would think, they would say, like I said many years ago, I get all this, knowledge that's useless, totally useless. Sports knowledge. But I said, if I would have focused that time in Torah, no offense to all the Torah giants out there, I would have been a Torah giant years ago. Yeah, wasted knowledge. But guess what? The wasted knowledge is still there. It doesn't fully disappear. Right? It doesn't fully disappear. Right? So the Baal Tanya says, oh, you really think? Right? You really think that's gonna be? That you're gonna be pure? Right, sorry. This impurity is not gonna affect you? He says you'll be impure by touch. By touch. You don't have to do anything else. All you have to do is touch it, become impure. Right? So anything impure. Yeah? You hear someone curse, that affects you. You see images you shouldn't see, that affects you. Doesn't affect you for 1 second. They're there. Buried somewhere, but they're there. They come up. Even when you least expect it, they can come up. A person that were working on themselves for a long time. Someone there mentioned their Jewish father was in the Marine Corps, was cremated. We cremated him. We're all going to give him a funeral to remember him. Should I definitely not do that? Once it's been cremated, There's not much you can do. You would offer the grave. Well, even if it's cremated, right, the ashes should be buried. That's for sure. That's also atonement. Being cremated is pretty bad, right? I'm not gonna say burying them is a total atonement. That doesn't work that way necessarily. But I would say it's definitely a good thing to properly bury him. A Jew needs to be buried. 100%. Even if even if they were cremated. You got, tens of thousands, millions who were, whatever, cremated by the Holocaust. Yeah. So, those ashes, need to be buried. They're not buried, God will take care of it. I'm not worried about that. Right? But it should be buried. Burial is atonement. Again, I don't want to be misquoted here. It's not full atonement. Yeah, but it's a form of atonement. There's no question. So a Jew needs to be in the ground. A non-Jew, again, being in the ground is not the most important thing here by a non-Jew. Cremation is a different issue. Because we're all made in God's image, this is desecration of the body. It's desecration of the body. Yeah. But wouldn't we say a non-Jew on a Torah level is obligated for cremation? No. It's a moral imperative. Ask anybody. I mean, today might be different. But you can ask anyone, their parents, about being buried, not being buried. You say that they're going to be used for scientific experimentation. Now, some people would say, okay, they're dead anyway. What's the difference? Other people, because their soul feels it, their soul's not so dead. Their soul feels that someone come up to you and say, right, or they would say to a person, let's say, I'll give you $10,000, for your father's body. Right? They're dead. They haven't been cremated yet. Right? $10,000. No, I'm not going to give you his body for $10,000. Okay, I'll give you $50,000. No. I'll give you $100,000. No. I'll give you $1 million. I'll give you $10 million. Is the person going to give up? Now, if they don't have a good relationship with their father, maybe they will. Okay. But in general, are they gonna give up that body? Probably not. Why not? They really don't believe, that soul's going anywhere or believe in a soul and this and that. Well, why wouldn't they do it? Because something inside them telling them no. I'm not going to let you just desecrate this body. So they're fine. We're not going to desecrate it. We'll call it scientific experimentation. Again, unless you hate, a parent or whatever, you say, go ahead, do whatever you want with the body. I don't care what you do. Yeah. But I would think most people would say no, not for any amount of money. They wouldn't do it. Even for scientific experimentation. Why not? Because there's something telling them it's not right. There's something inside telling them there's something wrong with this. You tell me they don't believe in Olam Haba, the next world. They don't believe, in the soul and blah, blah, blah. But they think there's something wrong. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? You say, they say, let me just slap it once. Let me just slap your father's face once. You're not going to feel it. Let me just slap him once. You really annoyed me once. Boom. Let me just slap him once. Kid's going to let someone slap their father who's dead? Some would. It's a horrific generation. Yeah. Yeah. Say, they really hate him, whatever. Other people are going to say, what, are you crazy? Yeah, slap my father, slap my mother. Even they deserved it. They're already dead. I remember someone told me when their father died, they had non-Jewish woman, took care of him or helped take care of him, when he was sick, and so that open casket, and the person was just stroking his cheek. He was dead. So the person said it was it gave him the willies. Gave him the willies. person's already dead. You're going to caress the face. You're going to touch the face. It's dead. Now, this person wasn't a religious Jew by any stretch. But they felt, even in a nice way, I'm not even talking about smacking the person, which would like be insane, right? They were just caressing the face, trying to remember, whatever. In a nice way. And it gave the person the willingness. Gave the person the willingness. Yeah. Now you want to tell me that same person, whether they had a good relationship, bad relationship, whatever it may be, you're going to let somebody, no amount of money, in most cases, would anyone allow that body to be desecrated? We're talking about cremation. I don't think that's desecration. In other ways, right? So someone will say, give you $50 million. $50 million, we'll call it scientific experimentation. How many people are going to sign up to do that? Maybe a handful. Maybe. Maybe it's a different generation. Maybe a lot of people would sign up for it. I don't know. Because they need the money. They want the money. I don't know. I would think most people are not going to sign up for it. No matter what you call it. Because they feel that's not right. Why? The person's dead. All the fluid's taken out of the body. They're dead. So what's the big deal? What's the big deal? Scientific experimentation, whatever you want. Do whatever you want. $50 million? Not a problem. Most people won't do it because they feel it's not right. Why do it? So that's the question. Why? They're not religious. They don't believe in afterlife. They don't believe in the soul. Why? Why does it nag them there's something wrong with this? What's the answer? Because there's something inside of them telling them. Their soul telling them it's not right. You don't desecrate a body like that. Regardless of what they did to you. Now, for most people, this wouldn't even be an issue. If a person really hated their parents, this and that, maybe they'll do it. Okay. Most people are not going to do that. It doesn't feel right. So what's that feeling? That's your soul telling you it's wrong. That's your soul screaming out and saying that's desecration of the body. You may not be able to verbalize it. You feel it's not right to touch it. Superstition? I don't know. Call it what you want. Call it intuition. Where's the intuition come from? It's coming from your soul. Your soul, again, it could be Jewish soul, non-Jewish soul. Doesn't matter. Even non-Jewish soul is not the same as Jewish soul. They'll say the same thing. They'll say the exact same thing. You don't touch it. They're not saying, it's desecration of the body like we're talking about. Just like it's not right. The person said, let them be. Let them be. Well, that'd be horrific. Imagine. They had an open casket. This person did something, whatever, egregious to someone. They walk up to the front, they smack him in the head. It's already dead. You don't think people can go, like, how could someone do that? Of course. Not normal. You strike a dead body. Sit there and kick the dead body in the head. I mean, like, you're gonna be wacko. You're gonna be wacko. Hear what Hamas did after people were killed. I mean, they're not normal. Not normal. Savagery. I'm not even talking about that. I'm not talking about mutilation of the body. I'm talking about like flicking it in the nose. Flicking it in the air. I got a lot of things. Yeah. You're smacking upside the head. Who's going to do that to a dead body? Who in the world is going to do that? And again, I would say, this is me talking, you take it with a grain of salt. I don't care what the person did to you in this life. The person's not going to do it after they die. They're not going to do it. I don't think they're going to do it. Some people might. Some people in this generation, whacked out generation, maybe. Open casket, just go out and smack it. Maybe. I don't think so. Because it's reverence for the body. It's reverence for the body. So shouldn't a non-Jew, born in the image of God, same thing? Reverence for the body, okay. Obligation? No. It's not an obligation. It doesn't come under the category of the Noahide laws. Maybe it's a moral imperative, okay? Maybe. Certainly not in Torah level. Yeah, somebody asks, oh, my sister put him in the ocean. What should you do? You can say to him, you can say Psalms for him. There's, learning his memory. You can do that. There's a story of somebody, the parent, whoever it was, wanted, and they got cremated, wanted to be cremated, wanted their ashes, spread out in the ocean. Okay. Says, okay, Dad, this is for you. Take the ashes, spread it, they throw it into the ocean, a big wind comes. Not going to get gross here, right? A big wind comes and the ashes go flying back in their face. They're like, Dad, you're still with us. Insane. I heard somebody say it was a non-Jew. Thank God it wasn't a Jew, right? So he said, this person said that, when his dog died, what did he do? He got his dog cremated. Yeah, okay. Dog can be cremated, not a problem. Again, I heard it with my own ears what this person said. He got his dog cremated, buried it around his favorite tree. Probably where he made. That's his favorite tree, yeah? So the person said, when I die, same thing. I'm going to get myself cremated. It's good enough for my dog. It's good enough for me. Where's the brain? You got to cremate your dog, put the dog's ashes, whatever, by its favorite tree where it probably made them. 100 times, 1,000 times, who knows what. You're going to do the same thing to yourself? You have no respect for yourself? Like, it's good enough for my dog, it's good enough for me. Can't make the stuff up. Yeah, other questions here. Let's see. Probably hit a raw topic here. Somebody asked, do most of the books contain halacha, oral Torah in depth? No, they don't. What's the book? Shari Tshuva, Gate to Repentance. A lot of it is halacha, right? And there's a lot of halacha there, but most of there also doesn't necessarily go through a lot of Torah, a lot of oral Torah, in depth. Most of the books don't do that. Go through Path of the Just. It is a good book to go through. Does it go through a lot of oral Torah? It goes through some, but a lot of it's universal. A lot of it's universal. Shouldn't be a problem. Someone asked, does God need us? Nope. God doesn't need us. You could ask the question, okay, in Rosh Hashanah, we make God king. We spend 2 days, Jews spend 2 days making God king, right? If a king has no servants, is he still king? What's the answer? Yes. He's still king? 100%. Isn't it better if a king had servants? Yeah. Does God need servants? No. Right? The whole discussion, Beis Hill, Beis Shammai, the house of Hill, the house of Shammai, 2.5 years, the good that man was created or not. Spent 2.5 years arguing. Right? Came to the conclusion was better man shouldn't have been created. So why were we created? So we do things wrong, get a look in your actions. Yeah. So does God really need us? No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He made man because he wanted to. Right? He was a mate. He wanted to show his goodness, and we have to follow what he says. He gave us a book, manufactured himself, passed it down to Moses, passed it down to us. Right? But essentially, does he need us? Nope. Doesn't need us at all. Right? Goes against first of the Rambam's 13 principles. God is absolute. He's got no needs. If you say he's got no needs, then he's lacking. If he's lacking, he's not God. Does God ever get bored? I don't think so. Why would he get bored? He's keeping the whole world and doing all kinds of things. Right? Definitely doesn't get bored. Right? I don't think he gets bored. How do you stop being lazy? How do you stop being lazy? It's not a one-word answer. I would say the first thing is that if you're talking about being lazy in the sense of serving God properly, right? You have to have the desire I'm not even talking about thinking about punishment if you don't serve him right or whatever. You got to have the desire. You got to have the desire. You want to grow in spiritual terms. You want to work hard. You want to grow. But you know what? Learning is hard. Learning Hebrew is hard. Learning concepts is hard. There's a lot of information. Evil inclination can totally demolish you. Say, you'll never learn it. You'll never get it right. You always make mistakes. Jewish people will never accept you, blah, 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 blah. Could be true, right? But that's evil inclination. So I would say Torah like anything else. As King Solomon says. King Solomon says in Proverbs, Torah, you have to want more than rubies, diamonds, gold, silver. You have to want it. You're going to say, but how do I put that into my psyche? How do I say that in my brain? How do I get myself to do it? What's the answer? You got to want it. Think about what if you do the wrong thing, right? Punishment's always good, right? You don't want to keep Torah only by fear. You need fear, right? We always say you always need fear, no question. Fear may not lead you to love of God, but love of God will lead you to fear of God. But you have to want it. How do you keep that fire lit every day? It's a good question. You got to work. Like anything else, you got to work very hard because there's a lot of distraction. There's a lot of distraction. But if you're thinking, how can I serve God in the best way? Learn Musa. Learn Path of the Just. Learn the Gate to Repentance. Yeah. That'll put you in a certain mind frame. That will, you go through that and you see what I'm liable for, what I can gain. Gives you a little bit more oomph in your steps. Say, but I'm holding there, this, that doesn't matter. Right? It gives you a world perspective. By giving you a world, a proper world, perspective, and a person thinks, wow, I'm only in this world 70 years, King David says. If you have strength, 80 years. Anything over that's a bonus. Right? We're not here very long. But it's very easy to get distracted. So what's the most important thing? You're going to say, be close to God. Learn Torah. Yeah. But I don't have the desire. I'm lazy. So you got to get unlazy. You got to be inspired. You got to live inspired at all times. Is that an easy thing? No. So I would say, say the mantra over and over and over again. God, open the fountains of knowledge. Allow me to delve in so I enjoy it a lot more. You got to pray for that also. The fourth paragraph of the Shemona Esrei, silent meditation, whatever you want to call it, we ask God for knowledge. What do you mean knowledge? If I don't ask God for knowledge, I'm stupid? No. I want spiritual knowledge. Yeah? You have to pray. You have to ask for that. We don't say, give it to me. Right? That's not the language of the blessing. We don't say, Atah note, you give to us knowledge. It says, Atah chonem l'adam das. God, in your mercy, your grace, you give it to us. It's like you just give it to us. We're talking about spiritual knowledge. You have to want it. So that is something you can pray for. Strengthen me in wanting that knowledge. Strengthen me in not to be lazy. You got to ask for help. Strengthen me, fighting the evil inclination. Because the Gemara says that God created an antidote to the evil inclination. What's the antidote? The antidote is Torah. But you need God to help you to overcome the evil inclination. That's how strong it is. So you have to ask for help. Someone asked, how do you make these things disappear? These things in your soul that are part of your soul, that are negative. How do you make them disappear? The only way you make it disappear, right, is you got to learn a lot of Torah. The more Torah you learn, the more it goes away, right? A little bit of Torah pushes away a lot of darkness. But see, you got to be focused. The evil inclination, all it needs is just a little bit to get inside. When you're too tired, when you're not thinking, you got to fight against its evil inclination 24/7. Even when you're sleeping, you got to fight against the evil inclination. Yeah? It's a hard thing. It's a very hard thing. But I would say the more Torah, the more focused the person is, this stuff goes by the wayside. But you always got to stay focused. It's intense. You got to stay focused, because if you're not focused, you let your guard down a little bit, the inclination runs wild. That's the problem. Somebody mentions they just waste too much time arguing, right? It was anti-Torah, feels our duty to stand up for the correct misunderstanding, right? This is a problem I have with somebody. Although, I mean, with a lot of people, I'm thinking of one person in particular, right? They think it's their job to fight against the world. A waste of time. I agree. They got the misunderstandings. They're going to set them straight. God doesn't need you to do that. That's what the inclination's telling you to do. Fine. You want to do it 10, 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day maximum? Okay. The other time you're going to spend learning. It's a waste of time. Anyone ever try and speak to a missionary? Every time you answer them, they come up with something else, but they don't answer the question. And today most people don't care either way. They won't look at the information. So it's a waste of time. If someone said, oh, life after death, can you explain that in 15 seconds? 30 seconds. They want to give me 3 seconds if I open my mouth. I said, there, I'll send you a link. Here's the video. You want to watch it? Watch it. They're not interested. So it's a waste of time. Right? And then you get flustered, you get aggravated, you say, look, this is what the text says. No, it doesn't really mean that. It's Webster's definition. It's aggravation. What do you need it for? Right? Someone here points out, same thing. It's less stressful. You can focus on your own Torah learning, right? Life is a distraction. I think everyone hits a stage like that at the very beginning. They want to, they want to show the world what they learned, their new knowledge, blah, blah, blah. And they, go to the family, go to friends, and they get shocked. And someone tell me, it's like, yeah, I showed them this, I showed them that. They weren't interested. I said, of course not. Because now you're going against everything they've been built up. Right? But what's the real fear by non-Jews? Right? What's the main fear? They don't believe in JC. They're going to fry in hell forever. That's the fear. That's the fear. They have to be convinced, really convinced to give up JC. A lot of people aren't going to do that. They're not going to do that. So engaging them on their biggest fear, unless they're already questioning, if they're not questioning, then it's gonna be a waste of time. But when you see people following them like infants, yeah. Again, I always say, I don't express my opinion unless I have to. I'll rebuke when I have to. Yeah. But a lot of times people will talk and this and that. Unless it's absolutely blasphemous, and I think I have an obligation to answer, I'll answer. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. People are holding nowhere. Right? You say you get an obligation if they do something wrong to rebuke them. I spoke about that. Yeah, people say, oh, but we don't know how to give rebuke. Right? They'll hate us more. Right? That's not an answer. Sometimes that is an answer. A lot of times you still have to give rebuke. Can't just remain silent. Right? That's true. If they're trying to convince you the other way, very good, you can answer them. You can answer them. Because they don't want to hear your opinion and not interested. I had someone tell me, I put them in a corner. They basically told me, get off your pedestal, get off your soapbox. That's for your classes. It's not going to work over here. They don't want to hear. But what should I do? What I do? Call them names. Say, oh, you're an ignoramus. My 7-year-old, grandkid knows more than you. What am I going to tell them? They're not interested. They're apathetic. They don't care either way. Right? It depends what they say. Sometimes someone will say something. You have to answer. Yeah. If they're coming with their stupid ideas, I can answer that. But you got to think. Think before you answer. Are they asking you a question? Do they go, oh, Judaism discriminates against women? You know what the answer is? Oh. I think Judaism, is anti-pig. Oh. Why do you keep saying no? You didn't answer me a question. You didn't ask a question. If I were to ask you, do you really think that Judaism is anti-pig and anti-this and anti-that? What would you say? That's a question. That is a question. They don't ask a question, they make a statement, I have to answer it. I had a whole conversation, whatever, last summer. I don't know, Democrats, Republicans, and whatever, these leftists talking about how, against Republicans and whatever, and all the negativity there. I could have had a field day. I would have had a field day there. To my son-in-law, I was like, back off. They're like, just let him talk. Just back off. I would have a field day. Ignoramuses, according to the Torah. Don't know their elbow from any other part of their body. We're at a field day. They're like, just walk away. Don't even open your mouth. I didn't open my mouth. Not because they said so, because I knew what it was going to lead to. Yeah, nobody home. Just going to antagonize people. Oh, you really think that? Like, based on. You got any facts behind? I mean, whatever. I could have had a field day. Field day! In 3 minutes, turn them into a pretzel. Would have done anything? No. Would have antagonized them. So you got to see someone saying something really blasphemous, you have to answer. Right? You might have to answer. Right? In all cases? I don't necessarily know in all cases. Right? I don't necessarily know in all cases. I'll tell you something I learned over the years from all my mistakes. One thing I learned is, first I have to see if a person's asking a question. Yeah. And even if they're asking a question, are they really asking the question? And then you pick your issues. If it's something you really have to answer, you have to answer. Not saying you remain silent just to remain silent. Right? Because you don't want to get involved in whatever. There are times you have to answer. Okay. But I'm saying that, for some things, there's no point. You just pick your issues, pick your poison. Right? And over the years, I learned the lesson the hard way. I opened my mouth where I shouldn't have. I didn't do anything, and people got offended and different things. Okay. Right? So I pick my issues. I'll nip it in the bud. Someone wanted to mention something to my kids. I nipped the conversation in the bud. They said it a second time. I nipped it in the bud. I said, no, we're not going there. My kids are older. They understood. It doesn't matter. I don't want to discuss, period. They did not want it discussed. Right? So I put my foot down. My house, I put my foot down. Depends on what it is. A lot of things people can say, just let it go. There's no point. There's no point. Someone the other day asked me, about politics. Politics here. Politics in the States and, whatever. And basically, they're saying, well, Bibi's on his way out and, what's going to be and this and that. I'm like, they're all corrupt. I don't care who it is. They're all corrupt. It doesn't matter. The religious parties can be corrupt. Okay? What do I think? He's going to leave. He's not going to leave. Who cares? I mean, if the leftists get in, that's bad. That's true. It'd be a lot worse here. No question. This is what people have to talk about. They're really asking, what I really think. It's a conversation mark. It wasn't like, based on the Torah, what is the Torah source about this, that? That wasn't a question. Someone asked me months ago, what's going to be, the day after they leave Gaza? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have an answer for that. I was like, who are they going to put in there? That was my answer. Sure. Palestinians are ISIS and they're Hamas. They're no different. Quote unquote, these Palestinians in the territories. They're no different. What does their charter say? Their charter says death to the Jews. That is what the Palestinian National Charter says. That hasn't changed, and it won't change. Death to all Jews, death to Israelis. They don't want Jews here. They don't want Jews in Israel. So who are you talking to? I said, I don't have an answer what's going to be. I said, I have an answer how to solve the problem. I said, you're going to think I'm a fascist for saying it. Like, what's your answer? Kill everyone? I said, yeah, that's the only way you solve it. You hunt them down, you kill them all. Men, women, children, they're all indoctrinated. What are you going to do? Kill them all. Not very popular to say. That's the only solution. That's how you solve the problem. The only way you solve the problem. There's no one to talk to. There's no moderates. Big mistake. Look at all the countries that have significant Muslim minorities, right? Someone in England told me, I've heard a number of people in England tell me this, their communities, Muslim communities, police will not go in. They won't go there. France, same thing. Other countries, same thing. Japan's the only country that doesn't have these problems, so they don't let them in. It's a serious issue. What's going to be after the fact? Get a white mullah. That's the only way. The fascists think to say people because they what they want. That's genocide. You're right. That's what it has to be. Right? As I always said, if this was Texas and Mexico, they would have flattened Mexico like a pancake. No more Taco Bell. No more burritos. They would have flattened them like a pancake. Pancake. Would have asked any questions. Israel's different. We're judged to a higher standard. Not me. They have a right to go in there and wipe them all out. They have an absolute right. I don't care if they use them as human shields or not. Right? A lot of them, they're all the same. They've indoctrinated the entire generation and generations to come. So what do you do? Who are you talking to? Yeah. So I'm not saying you never say anything. I'm not making that claim. But there are times, for sure. Even no one's going to listen, you got to say something. But you got to say, I would, again, my advice, for whatever it's worth, you pick your issues. You pick your issues. And most issues, I would tell you, are not worth fighting for. They're not worth it. Totally not worth it. God creates the world every day, right? He renews creations that make a parallel universe. There is a parallel universe called the next world. It's like there was a temple in this world. There's also a temple in heaven. What's the temple in heaven doing? I can't answer. Yeah. But there definitely is. We talk about a spiritual world. That's a parallel world. Right? That's a parallel world. How does it work? It's a good, deep question. This is Kabbalah, right? Yeah. You have to have someone else much more steeped in Kabbalah than me to answer that. Yeah. Question is, found a dead mouse in my garage. Can I take it, throw it away? Yeah, it's not a problem. Today, that level of impurity doesn't apply. We're all impure anyway, so it doesn't matter. Come in contact with a dead body, come in contact, with that animal or whatever, you got to take it out, you're allowed to touch it. I mean, whatever. You're not going to touch it directly, right? You don't want to get diseases or whatever, but yeah. On a Torah level, that level of impurity we can never get rid of, right? So that doesn't apply today. It doesn't apply anyway. You don't have a temple today. Someone once told me many years ago, they're like, let's go back to that world. Yeah, let's. There's only one problem. We don't have a temple today. You can't. We don't have that level of impurity today. So no mikvahs, I don't care how it's built, is ever going to take you away from that impurity. Other impurities maybe, but not that. So you don't have an issue with that. I was not watching any footage on, what specific things you want to do if you touch a dead cat? Nothing. I mean, you wash your hands, obviously, right? You want to wash your hands so you don't get disease. Otherwise, do you have to go to the mikvah? No. Doesn't help. Right? It doesn't help. So this person's already impure today. Since we're already impure, nothing we can do to make ourselves pure. So you can touch a dead animal. It's not a problem. Right? Obviously, you're not going to touch it directly. You don't want to get disease. Fine. So, disinfect yourself. You wash you wash your hands very well and this and that. That's it. You don't have to worry about it. That level of impurity does not apply today. Someone here says sometimes you need to protect your eyes somehow. You remember bad stuff, right? How can you control your mind 100%? You can't. 100%, I mean, you have to work. You got to think Torah all the time. That's the way you protect yourself. You got to think Torah all the time. That's the only way. You always have to have Torah in your mind, no matter where you are. That's the only way. Right? Does that work 100% of the time? That's what you got to do. Right? That's what you got to do. There's no quick fix. No quick fix. So to control it 100%, the only way you control it 100% is having Torah thoughts in your mind at all times. That's it. Right? To the best of our ability. To the best of our ability. Does that mean we're always going to do it? No, but the more you talk in Torah, the less you're going to talk about other things. If an animal is suffering from some sort of illness, misfortunes, automatically mean that a human soul in it is doing some sort of tikkunim. I have no idea. First of all, not every animal is a reincarnated soul. There are souls that can be reincarnated into an animal. How do we know that? We don't. We don't know this animal, Sometimes you'll see like, stray, dogs or cats or whatever hanging around the synagogue. Right? Someone say Kaddish, say the morning's prayer, and then the animal dies. Yeah. In most cases, we have no idea. Is it tikkunim? Is it for the sake of for the soul that's in it? I can't answer. Could be. Very well could be. Can I say that 100%? No. Don't know. Don't know. Did I say embalming is also desecrates the body? Embalming is a problem. Can't embalm the body. Right? What they do, again, I'm not going to get gross here, but basically what they do is they clean out the body. Right? Before they bury it. That's what the tahar is. That's what the purifying the body is. They clean it, they clean the body, get all the inside gunk out, whatever. However they do it, you're not allowed to embalm. There's a whole question how Jacob was allowed to be embalmed. How's he allowed to be preserved? That you're not allowed to. That's forbidden. So why he's allowed to is a good question. Yeah. Could say before Torah was given. I don't know. I have to look into it why that was permissible, but again, it's also desecration, preservation of the body. It's also desecration, right? In other words, for a Jew dies, bury him straight away. You don't wait, right? In Jerusalem, within 24 hours, that's the custom. Person died, you bury him straight away. And I went to a funeral many years ago. Person died at like 5, 6 in the afternoon. They buried him at like midnight. It was like January 1st. I remember it was New Year's. I drive out to this faraway place. I get home till like 3 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, whatever. It's a close friend of ours, but they buried him at night. They buried him 6 hours later, 5, 6 hours later. They don't wait. 24 hours, no more than 24 hours. Holding over the body is a big problem. Embalming is a big problem. Very, very big problem to do. What about physical authority? So I would say, get off of sugar. Right? Sugar is definitely not a good thing. We probably eat a lot of things with sugar. But I would say in general that you got to exercise. You keep the body strong, you keep the soul strong. Right? I don't say you have to exercise like a fiend. And it's like my doctor told me, 3-4 times a day. Half an hour, 40 minutes is good. Yeah. Yeah, keep the body strong. Right? A lot of lethargy is because of what we eat. We don't exercise. Needs energy, right? Right? That's what I would say. Someone says, when they say something that's heresy, you can answer it. 100% you can answer it. Right? Right? Moshe wasn't really real. Yeah. I'm not saying you have to ignore it. If it's blasphemy, answer it. 100% you can answer it. Right? I'm just saying, when you have a conversation with these type of people, they're not necessarily interested in the answer, so it goes nowhere. So I'm just saying, it's probably a waste of time. But yeah, do you have an obligation to say it even if they're not going to answer, even if they make fun of you, even if they make fun of Torah and Judaism? Sure. Yeah. If it's absolutely heresy, sure. Like I had someone say something that was, let's say, it was heretical. I'm like, all right, that's your opinion. You want to know what 3 years of Jewish history say on that? They weren't interested. They said, that's what I think. And I said, they're convinced them? You're going to turn them into a pretzel very easily. Should I have done it? No point. That's what they think. You're not going to change my mind. Okay. You want to look at the information? No. So what do? They're saying stupidity. Okay. Hey, someone told me that about something I said. Oh, that's your opinion. I said, no, that's the Torah's opinion. That's what 3,500 years of history tell us. I don't care. They don't care. Right? And if it's the opposite, I'm not going to care what they say either, but might have to say something. But it goes no. My point is, 99% of the time, it goes nowhere. If they're interested in a real discussion, you want to see sources, you want to discuss it, very good. Most times it goes nowhere. That's what I think. Based on nothing. That's what they think. Okay. You're going to argue with someone who's based on nothing? Who's got a pea brain? Probably sitting on their brain. So I don't like to argue it. Nobody home. Oh, I don't believe that. You ever researched it? You ever read Encyclopedia Britannica on the subject? No. Okay. Yeah. Someone's got a PhD. You're going to argue with them? You're going to argue with someone in, you're going to argue with Stephen Hawking in physics because you read a Wikipedia article? I don't think so. People do it. People in Judaism do it all the time. They see something, they hear something, oh, this must be true. They research it? No. Sometimes you have to answer, but again, who are you talking to? That's the question. Are you talking to someone who's going to listen to the answer or not? But sometimes, yeah, they say something blasphemous. No, it's not true. Well, I think it's true. Because I think the New Testament's true. Oh, there are a lot of mistranslations in the New Testament. There are a lot of, other things going on. If they want to hear it, very good. Then have a discussion. If they don't want to hear it, discussion's over. Right? That's what I would say. Someone says a group and a third Jew hater came out. Yeah, it's not surprising. Yeah, that Jews run the world. Yeah, listen, anti-Semitism comes, they'll say we run the world and we're rich and we're causing these problems and we were money lenders and all that. And what about places we were poor? Dirt poor. There's also anti-Semitism because of that. So it means it's not logical. They'll say we run the world. It's a joke. Are there a lot of Jews in Hollywood? Yeah. Does that mean we're in control? Doesn't mean we're in control at all. Right? Is there a law in America to be embalmed or just something done? I don't know. I don't think you have an obligation to get embalmed in the States. I don't think it's on the books that you have to get embalmed, right? But it's not law of the land. I definitely don't think it's law of the land. And anyway, for Jews, they're not allowed to. They can choose not to, for sure. But it's definitely not law of the land, as far as I know. Is it something done? I think it's something. Yeah. I think some people do it. I think it's a majority. No, I think a lot more people getting cremated today, but embalmed, I don't think so. I think it's less done. I think it's less done. Can't imagine it's so cheap either to do it, but I don't know. I'm not an expert in that. How did Abraham become beloved? He fought against all the idols. He brought absolute monotheism into the world. That's why God loved him so much. Right? He came out against idolatry. Right? That's what made him beloved. Someone asks, last question, can you explain the importance of Kriya Shema? Kriya Shema, what does it do? First thing is you're saying there's one God. Even for non-Jews, very good to say the first line of the Shema, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Very good thing for non-Jews to say. The rest of it really doesn't matter for non-Jews. For Jews, you have to say all 3 paragraphs, but what's the real importance? You take it on the yoke of heaven, and then you take it on the yoke of mitzvah. Like an obligation to serve God. God is one. God is unique in the world. There's nobody like him. And then I have an obligation to keep the commandments. I have to give them over to my kids. I have to know there's reward and punishment. And there's a lot to be said about Kriya Shema, right? It's not a 2-minute answer, but essentially you're taking on the yoke of heaven and you're taking on the yoke of God, right? Not that God's in charge. God is one. That's a huge thing already. Right? That for non-Jews, that's enough for them to say that God is one, because the whole world is filled with idolatry. Right? But then you say, taking on the yoke of mitzvahs, let's give them over to my kids, and this reward and punishment, yeah, there's a lot of power to it. A lot of power to it. All right, I'm going to stop here. It's every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Israel time. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Michael Chaim Kaufman. Beyond Orthodox Conversion to Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com. Or Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos on the Torah portion of the week, which I'm very behind. Q&As, Ethics for Our Fathers, Book of Leviticus. You want to send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RABBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com. Wish everyone good beginning.